Halsey has captivated the world with her genre-defying music, fierce lyricism, and unapologetic authenticity. With 4 platinum-selling albums, countless awards, and collaborations with some of the biggest names in the industry, Halsey is a force to be reckoned with.
Hey, what's up? I'm Halsey.
She's back with her most personal album yet. Halsey talks through the songs that have defined pivotal moments in her life and how they influenced the creation of her latest album, The Great Impersonator.
And this is Songs That Saved Me on Radio 1.
So this is going to be really fun. You've picked 5 songs for us, 5 songs that have saved you throughout time and your time on this planet. But maybe let's just like start off. Yeah. And I'm assuming there's probably maybe a song that initiated you into music in the very first place.
Yeah.
Do we have it? What would it be?
So I think that the song that made me think to myself, I don't just love music. I want to be music. You know what I mean? Like, not even make it. I want to be music. Was Crush, Crush, Crush by Paramore.
That's my favourite Paramore song.
Me too.
What a tune.
I know.
Why do you love that song so much?
Well, first of all, Haley is she's like a monolith, you know? She's just an absolute titan. She has always kind of just defied everything that has ever been expected of her. She was the first artist of her kind to like fronting a band in that way, where, you know, I saw her and I was like, I can do that? And I had really been listening to mostly male-fronted music of that genre at the time. And I remember the first time I heard a Paramore song, and I just remember my brain couldn't even compute. You know what I mean? I was like, what are you talking about? What is this? Like, it just changed my life, and I became obsessed with her. Like, obsessed. I wanted to dye my hair like her, and I wanted to dress like her, and I just thought she was so brave. And the thing about Crush, Crush, Crush that I really love is the writing style is really rhythmic, which not a lot of women were doing, but also not a lot of women in the like rock or alt space were doing. The way she syncopates her melodies, I think, contributed so much to the way that I write songs, where da 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 da, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so percussive and it's so active, and it's not like a beautiful floating gliding melody. It's got teeth.
Something is really clicking for you at the moment, isn't it? Whether it is on that stage, whether it is on record, or maybe just in yourself, I don't know. But you seem like you're in an amazing place for creating.
I think I just missed it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I took longer of a break than I intended. You know, I took a break.
But you needed, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, the first break that first, you know, everyone had to take a break because of the pandemic. And then I was like, I'm going to extend that break a little bit because I want to have my first child. And I was like, and then when that's done, you know, I put out If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power. And it was a very different type of album, so I knew that I wasn't going to be out doing the same thing that you do for like a more commercial record. And then, you know, I started having problems with my health. And then it was like 2 years longer of a break than I thought. And it's interesting when you plan something out in your mind, and then, you know, the universe, God, whoever comes across and is like, you have expectations? Okay. I'm just going to show you right now how little control you have over any of this. And I spent every single day of that break just regretting every single second I didn't spend making music before that. Because when I couldn't, I was just like, I just wish that I made so much more. And I wish that I took advantage of those days where I was off, or I wasn't working, or I was up late and I thought, should I go to the studio? No. Well, should I? And I just went. And so when I was making this album, I did that. Like, if I felt like going, I just went. And if nobody was up, I just made it myself, you know, and then just woke up the next day with some elementary demo of something and was like, it's kind of like this. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Can you make it good?
Yeah, can you make it better, please? And yeah, so I think that mentality definitely through and through.
Well, that kind of real in the moment rawness cuts through so well on the songs we've heard so far.
Thank you.
I wonder if there's a song that has played impact to you that you want to pick tonight that kind of taps into that.
Okay, so since we're talking about the album, I feel like this is like an important thing, to the important segue. So I made a lot of those songs on the record with Alex G, which.
Okay.
Yeah, which
I didn't
is
know
like,
this.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? I know. Same here. I was like, really? I remember being so scared to ask him if he would work on the project, and everyone was like, you know, I had kind of learned this from working with Trent and Atticus, because like you have to just imagine the size of the balls on me.
Yeah.
During COVID to ask Trent Reznor if he'll produce my album.
But then if you ask, you don't get. Or
Yeah,
if you don't
well,
ask, you don't get.
Everyone
Sorry.
was like, the worst he can say is no. And I was like, exactly. And then I'll never recover from the embarrassment of that. But when, you know, obviously he said yes. And then we worked on the record. And it's the thing I'm arguably like the most proud of in my entire career up until, you know, this next one comes out. So with Alex, it was kind of like, I was like, all right, I learned from the last time that the worst they can say is no. And he said yes. And it was so special to me professionally because I love his work, and I think he has such a nuanced and sort of, when I say naive, I don't mean that he's naive. I mean like his work style is naive. He doesn't overthink it. He lets it just be like really pure, like the way you would describe a painter as naive. You know what I mean? And there was one song that I listened to every single day when I was in treatment. And I used to call it my dopamine song because I would put it on, and no matter how bad of a mood I was in, I literally would just be like sleeper agent activated happy.
Yeah.
Like every single time. And that song is Runner.
I like people who I can open up to. You don't judge for what I say, but judge me for what I do. And when I think of people I look up to, my runner, my man. My runner, my man.
There's a moment in Runner, the part where he kind of like yells a little bit, and it's like, well, I have done a couple, yes, yeah! And like whenever I was like driving in the car, I'd put that on, I started screaming, I'd be like, I'm gonna cause an accident.
Yes, I have done a couple, yes, yeah!
And I think that mentality of writing really cut through on this album, because it was the first album where I didn't think for 1 second if I sounded like a good singer. I was like, is this making you feel something? Then it's good. Not like, do I sound like I'm not Mariah Carey.
Well, he doesn't. Alex doesn't really refer to himself as. He doesn't really think of himself like an artist. Basically, he just makes it.
Yeah.
Because he loves
Yeah.
making stuff. He loves
Yeah.
being creative.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing about that album is that you leave with so many questions.
Oh, yeah.
Or so many unanswered questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you go back around for another listen, and you find new interpretations on it.
Yeah.
And that for me was just the overarching factor of God Save the Animals.
For sure. And it's so nuanced. It's like a really, really cool record. It's an album the way I like to make albums, where every song is so drastically different. And I remember asking him all these questions about how he got these effects, like vocal effects or like synth effects, or like, you know, how he got certain things to sound the way that they did. And I way overcomplicated it in my head. And he would just be like, oh, it's like this thing on GarageBand. He'd be like, GarageBand? I'm like, you made one of the greatest albums of our generation on GarageBand? And I was just like, I have to stop
The worst.
overcomplicating everything, you know?
The worst. But that shows true talent, really.
For sure.
It really does.
In him,
Do
yeah.
you want to pick another song?
I do, yeah. Okay, so I saw this band live last year. And it was actually my first time seeing them live. And I was on a sick run of shows the past year and a half. Because the one good thing about not working was that I got to go to a ton of gigs, which I don't
Nice.
usually get to do. So I saw Depeche Mode. We saw the Joy Division New Order
Thing.
co-set, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
I got to see, I saw Smashing Pumpkins, like I saw all these acts, I saw Swans, which was crazy, all these acts that I never thought that I would get the chance to see, but the one that blew me away the most was The Cure. I mean, Robert Smith sounds like he eats the CD for breakfast, chews it, swallows it, and then gets on stage. It was such a testament of like what an exceptional performer he is. It was so evocative. It sounded like he wrote the song yesterday and he still felt, he was feeling it still today. And I just stood there like, I couldn't even sing along. I did, but I just stood there like the whole time.
Completely gobsmacked.
Yeah. And one of my favorite songs from The Cure is it's not like a deep cut, but it's not everybody's favorite. It's Lullaby.
One of the most successful Cure songs in this country, though.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my
I think
gosh!
it's
Here
their
I
biggest
am
in this
thinking like,
country.
you know, in the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah, yeah.
everyone's like, really?
It was big over here.
Wow.
Definitely a top 10 record for sure, and a
Yeah.
great choice as well.
Yeah.
The Cure and Lullaby.
There's nothing I can do when I realize you're flying. The start I'm is having me for dinner tonight.
I guess you can't talk about new album and when it's coming, or are you allowed to tell us anything?
It's coming. It's gonna happen. Yeah. No, I can talk about the album. I just, you know, I'm so annoying. I want to do everything in like a very dramatic sleight of hand reveal.
Well, I like how you started at the end.
Yes.
You know,
Thanks for picking
That was
up on that.
a nice way to begin things.
Yeah, it's been fun because, you know, obviously the first record I put out is kind of like this folky record a la Joni Mitchell, Nick Drake kind of
If
thing.
you knew it was the end of the world, could you love me like a child? Could you hold me in the dark? If you knew it was the end of the world, would you like to stay a while? Maybe we could build an ark.
The second record sampled Britney Spears, or interpolated.
I'm so lucky, I'm a star, but I cry in my lonely heart, thinking if there's nothing missing in my life, then why do these tears come at night? I'm so lucky, I'm a star, but I cry in my lonely heart, thinking if there's nothing missing in my life, then why do these tears come at night? Haven't you heard?
Then came Lonely as the Muse.
I always knew I was a martyr and that Jesus was one too, but I was built from special pieces that I learned how to unscrew, and I can always reassemble to fit perfectly for you or anybody that decides that I'm of use. Lonely is the lonely is the
Which is, I guess, sort of Deftones meets Evanescence. I've seen people say it reminds them of like Godsmack or Tool.
Oh my
which is
God.
like, hell yeah.
I mean, these are all the references you want to hear, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was going for sort of new metal meets shoegaze meets
Sick.
like, yeah. But then, you know, then the next one is kind of more of like a Ego is a little bit more of like a, I don't know, like a late 90s pop punk kind of vibe. It's like a little Third Eye Blind kind of.
I think that I should try to kill my ego, 'cause if I don't, my ego might kill me. I'm all grown up, but somehow lately I'm acting like a baby. I'm really not as happy as I seem.
But yeah, no, every song is like super diverse, and there's even more, you know, genres that I explore. There's a record that is like a true love letter to PJ Harvey, which was an absolute blast to make. And then there's another record I really love that's kind of like Portishead meets Massive Attack, which is really sick.
I am purring over here.
Oh,
This
I
is-
mean, listen, I'll get it. I'll
I
get
mean,
it. I'll
this
make sure
just
you get it.
doesn't stop.
my one of my favorite songs on the record is almost kind of like, it's kind of like Postal Service and then like at the end it almost becomes kind of like LCD Sound System. I don't know.
Can you stop? This is just, you're out of control.
And then there's like, you know, there's other stuff too, but when I was in the studio, I was just like, I was thinking a lot about the gap between the music I make, which I love very much, but the gap between that and the music I love. And I was kind of just like, why don't I make music that sounds like the music I love? I also think you have to experience failure. And failure is different for every artist. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has their own definition of failure. My greatest failure was also my greatest personal success. You know, like, Love and Power is my album that performed the least commercially. You know, I had just come off of a pop record that had sold 3 million copies. And then I put out this record I made with 9 Inch Nails. And from like a, you know, from a business perspective, wasn't a win. But from a personal perspective, best thing that I ever did. And I look back on my discography and I think about the way people will look at me as an artist, if they even do, you know, like in the next couple years or decades, you know, God willing, that record is going to be like a quintessential part of the way I guess I defined myself, that I was okay with taking a risk, and that I was an artist who wanted to make what I wanted to make, and I did that even risking the absolute high that I was on at that moment, you know. I feel proud of myself that as an artist who's been in this industry for about 10 years, when I was at my highest high, you know, with the #1 record and, you know, this huge album, my instinct was like to rebel, kind of. You know, I like what that says about me. That makes me like myself and feel proud of the art that I make.
Well, all the artists, well, not every single artist, but pretty much every artist that you picked tonight on Songs That Saved Me has also treated their careers in a very similar way, actually. Another song?
Yeah, okay. This one's like a wild card, but I feel like it has to be mentioned. You know, I think just especially as alt and pop are, you know, continuing to merge in this like little weird dance they've been doing for 2 decades. I think, you know, I want to highlight another female performer that I really love. I got the chance to tour with this band on one of my first tours ever. I was first of 3 on the Imagine Dragons tour, and the direct support opening act was Metric.
On an Imagine Dragons tour?
Oh yeah, Halsey,
really?
Metric, and Imagine Dragons.
That's an insane lineup.
Deep, little confusing.
Yeah,
but it worked.
A little.
It worked, you know. And I think that the band also was really just trying to champion, like, you know, female artists in the genre, which I thought was really cool. And every night after my set, I would run off stage and then run back down to the audience and just watch Emily play, because she's just so amazing. So I toured with this band, but also one of my favorite road trip songs, because it just gets you jacked for where you're going.
What have you picked? What song?
Gold Guns Girls.
Oh, this band's severely underrated, and I'm so glad you've picked them. Let's run it. Metric. Thank you so much for picking the songs tonight.
Me.
It's been so good. Halsey on Songs That Saved Me, and you have one more song choice tonight. What do you want to go for?
There's something about this song where it just like it holds up. Like every single time I hear it, it feels the same as the first time that I heard it. And I think that from a songwriting perspective, you know, this artist is kind of unparalleled in certain ways. And this artist was also like the foundation of what led me to in life loving artists like Alex G. You know, I was growing up loving like Bright Eyes, Conor Oberst, like, you know, really loving this kind of this like tortured poet vocal, you know, writing style. Artists like Leonard Cohen, voices like Jeff Buckley, like, you know, but Elliot Smith has got to be. I know it's a cliche choice.
No. Nothing
but, like,
cliche
the
about
girls
Elliot
that
Smith.
get it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I am one of those girls, by the way.
yeah. Oh, love that.
Yes.
Love that.
I'm a huge Elliot Smith fan. I love
Yeah,
this
me
guy so
too.
much.
We had a lot of Elliot Smith on this record coming through. For
Great.
sure. Yeah.
What song have you picked? Because there are
Angelus.
many. Ageless.
Angelus, yeah.
Oh my God, yes. What's the lyric? The $100 bill. The face on, or my face on a $100 bill. I think he says.
Yeah, which is really funny
Something like
because that lyric was like the most stolen and reproduced lyric of like the early 2000s
Yeah.
pop punk scene.
Yes.
Everyone, I stole it in Forget Me Too.
I kind of like interpreting it like Elliot is playing Angelus or Los Angeles or the music industry, or, you know, whatever you kind of want it. Because again, there's another lyric in there where he kind of almost signs off as Angelus in there. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
To meet you, Angelus.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And he just, but he, right, it's
It's like a postcard.
yeah,
so glad
exactly.
to meet you,
So-
comma, Angelus.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love thinking about it like that. You know, that
Yeah.
for me makes this song even more impactful and real.
Totally.
It's a brilliant song.
Totally.
Halsey on Songs That Saved Me. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for letting me play all these.
No one's gonna fool her.